Seaside, but he stabbed his solicitor, Mohammed Shoaib. He came to the office, doing the job that you do, David, and his client stabbed him. He's gone now. He already had 11 previous.
Recent stabbing incidents involving migrants in the UK have sparked intense debate over immigration and societal integration. One notable case involved an asylum seeker who attacked his lawyer, resulting in an 11-year prison sentence.
Love will always prevail. The people with hatred, they can't win. They can't win. Unfortunately, they hate everything around them. And the problem is that they hate themselves. This is how I feel. They hate themselves.
We've never had any trouble with the local residents. We've never had any trouble with the wider community. You know, as long as the authorities will allow us to, you know, the business is normal for us. You know, we won't be changing anything. And then, as the Imam mentioned inside, you know, our thoughts are fully with the families that have been affected by the tragedies of Monday.
And it was just through complete terror and horror that you're thinking local communities are being thrown apart and these people from outside are coming and literally destroying the mosque. And we've spoken to the Imam from Southport. He said he had to barrage and lock himself inside the office with his other members who were in the mosque at the time. They were afraid the door was going to be broken down. They were lighting bottles and throwing them at the mosque, you know. So the cup of tea approach works really well because it normalizes our relationship and reminds us that we're all neighbors. And, you know, some of these far-right thugs say, oh, it's taking back our country and British values. But I don't know what British values they're espousing. I think for our community and what Southport showed us is about people were rebuilding the wall for the mosque because of the love and care that I believe all of us have within us, you know, as good friends and neighbors.
Another tragic incident in Southport saw the murder of 3 young girls by a perpetrator with a Rwandan migrant background. A third attack in Manchester involved a migrant suspect stabbing 3 people randomly.
Now let's turn our attention to the UK. A brutal stabbing has shaken the nation. 11 children and 2 adults were stabbed on Monday in the town of Southport in northwest England. 3 of the children died. They were young girls, 6, 7 and 9 years old. The attacker was a 17-year-old boy. His motives are not known yet, but we do have some information about him. The attacker grew up in Cardiff in Wales. His family had migrated there from Rwanda. They moved to Southport in 2013. That's all we know for a fact. But facts mean little in the age of social media. After the attack, some rumors started doing the rounds. Rumors about the suspect's religious identity. Some people from out of Southport decided to act on the rumors. Hundreds descended upon the town in mourning and unleashed violence at a mosque near the site of the stabbings. Here's our report.
A dance class workshop was underway on Monday morning in the seaside town of Southport in northwest England. About 25 children had signed up to participate in the Taylor Swift-themed workshop. But then, a knife-wielding attacker showed up.
My officers were called to reports of a stabbing at 11:47 this morning and at an address in Southport. When they arrived, they were shocked to find that multiple people, many of whom were children, had been subjected to a ferocious attack and had suffered serious injuries.
By the time the police reached the scene, 11 children and 2 adults had been stabbed. 2 young girls were already dead. 6-year-old B.B. King and 7-year-old Elsie Stancombe. At least 7 of the other children were in a critical condition. So were the 2 adults. The attacker was arrested.
A 17-year-old male from Banks in Lancashire, who is originally from Cardiff, has been arrested on suspicion of murder and attempted murder, and is being taken to a police station where he will be interviewed by detectives.
9-year-old Alice da Silva Aguiar died in the hospital early Tuesday morning. The others are stable, but they aren't out of danger. Yesterday, the town was in mourning.
Something like this that has unfolded here yesterday is something that is what can only be described as a devastating nightmare.
Locals gathered to pay their respects. The British Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, was also there.
I came here to pay my respects to the victims and families who are going through raw pain and grief that most of us can't imagine. I can't imagine as a dad myself.
These incidents have intensified calls for stricter immigration controls, with critics arguing that current policies fail to properly screen and integrate migrants, potentially contributing to increased violence.
Going over to the United Kingdom now. 8 people have been arrested after riots erupted on Friday evening in Sunderland, northeast England. 3 officers were rushed to the hospital for treatment following hours of disturbances. Now, anti-immigrant demonstrators threw stones at the police in riot gear near a mosque in the city before overturning vehicles, setting a car alight, and starting a fire next to a police office. The demonstration in Sunderland was one of more than a dozen planned by anti-immigration protesters across the UK this weekend, including in the vicinity of at least 2 mosques in Liverpool. Several anti-racism counter-protests were also planned. Officials said that British police were out in force on Friday across the country, and mosques were tightening security. Responding to violent events now, Interior Minister Yvette Cooper has vowed that the rioters will pay the price for their violence and thuggery. She has given the police the full backing of the government to take the strongest possible action and ensure that they face the full force of law. Anger over the tragedy has fused with growing anti-immigration sentiment on the right of English politics, pushed by openly Islamophobic far-right figures. This comes after a 17-year-old boy has been charged with the murder of 3 girls in a knife attack and a Taylor Swift-themed dance workshop in the northwestern seaside town of Southport. Violent incidents erupted in the following days in Southport, the northeastern town of Hartlepool, and London, in reaction to false information on social media claiming the suspect in the stabbing was a radical Islamist migrant. The UK's Prime Minister's Downing Street residence in London was lit up in pink on Friday, in tribute to the 3 children who were fatally stabbed. Early on Friday, Prime Minister Keir Starmer made a second visit to Southport since the murders happened.
Others suggest that factors such as mental health issues, social isolation, and economic hardship also play significant roles in such violent acts.
Welcome back to the UK Tonight. Let's bring you some breaking news now from Southport. A large crowd has gathered outside a mosque in Southport, with tensions running high in the town following yesterday's knife attack. Police riot vans and officers have been standing guard outside the building, with reports of clashes between police and demonstrators. There are also reports from the scene that a police van has been set on fire. And this comes as the Home Secretary earlier warned people not to spread disinformation following yesterday's stabbing attack. Well, in the last few minutes, Merseyside Police have just released this statement. Let me read it to you. We can confirm officers are dealing with a disturbance during a protest in Southport this evening. At around 7:45 p.m, a large group of people, believed to be supporters of the English Defence League, began to throw items towards a local mosque on St. Luke's Road in Southport. Officers who are deployed are currently dealing with criminal behaviour and violence, with bottles and wheelie bins being thrown at them. As a result, an officer has suffered a suspected broken nose, and police vehicles have been damaged and set alight. Additional patrols are now in attendance, including the dog section. Assistant Chief Constable Alex Goss said it is sickening to see this happening within a community that has been devastated by the tragic loss of 3 young lives. In the last 24 hours, we have seen overwhelming support and sympathy from the community and wider Merseyside communities for the families who are currently trying to deal with their loss and care for victims injured during the major incident. Yesterday, our officers and other members of the emergency services were faced with one of the most difficult situations they will ever face. Tonight, they find themselves being attacked as they endeavour to prevent disorder. The actions in Southport tonight will involve many people who do not live in the Merseyside area or care about the people of Merseyside. There has been much speculation and hypothesis around the status of a 17-year-old male who is currently in police custody, and some individuals are using this to bring violence and disorder to our streets. We have already said that the person arrested was born in the UK, and speculation helps nobody at this time. Our officers should not have to face this, but we will be there tonight to ensure the safety of the local community who have suffered enough, and will arrest those involved in criminal behaviour. So that is a statement that we have received in the past few minutes from Merseyside Police. Well, let's speak to Sky's Amelia Harper. She joins me now from the newsroom with more information.
The UK government faces mounting pressure to address these issues effectively. It is essential to balance ensuring public safety with avoiding the demonisation of entire communities based on the actions of a few individuals. Addressing underlying causes of violence, such as improving mental health services, enhancing social integration and providing better economic opportunities, is crucial.
Quite a strong statement there from Merseyside Police. What more can you tell us?
Absolutely. Well, this is potentially developing into quite a serious situation tonight. We have those images there of riot police being deployed to this area outside Southport Mosque. This is about a 10-minute walk away, really, from the scene of that stabbing that happened yesterday at Hart Street. And you can see in those images there is a man standing on top of what looks like the side of a garage, possibly next to a house. And a number of riot police are standing there with various pieces of equipment required to protect themselves. And what we can see here are crowds of, I think it's fair to say, mainly men, many wearing masks and hoodies. And in other footage that we have as well, can be seen fighting with officers outside this mosque. And there is a very large now police presence with multiple emergency service vehicles on the scene. And what you can see in these pictures now is that looks like some sort of flare, and there is a lot of debris on the ground as well. Things like bottles have been thrown, and in that statement you just read out, officers are dealing with criminal behaviour currently. They're saying violence with bottles and wheelie bins. There we have that one there. That looks like potentially a brick of some kind being thrown. And if you look towards the back of that shot there, you can see just the sheer numbers of individuals who are on the scene, aside from this emergency service response. And it really has prompted a large response from police, additional patrols now in attendance, including the dog section. But you can see what police are up against here tonight outside this mosque. They are having that police officer there at the front trying to attempt some form of crowd control. But there are objects being thrown at those police officers. There is a man with a baton there, a police officer with a baton trying to, we assume, asking people to stay back. So what is a very serious situation, and they will be at the moment trying to really get some sort of crowd control. But it appears that there is something, it is not clear at this stage exactly what, on fire now at the scene.
While these attacks highlight the need for a thoughtful approach to immigration policy, they also underscore the importance of fostering tolerance and understanding within society.
Let's turn to Britain now. The country's ugly truth has been laid bare. All those years of multiculturalism, All those decades of preaching secularism, but it's all coming crashing down. We told you about the recent stabbing in Southport. 3 children were killed in a holiday club. 8 others were left injured. It was a truly horrible crime. But do you know how some Britons responded to it? By attacking the Southport Mosque. They damaged the building, they torched police vehicles and assaulted police officers. Protests were also held in other parts of the country. In London, things got violent. Clashes broke out near Downing Street. Protesters threw flares and beer cans at the Prime Minister's residence. Some of them also had a slogan, "Stop the boats." It's a reference to migrants crossing the English Channel. A popular right-wing chant. Take a look. So let's recap the past few days. The stabbing happened on Monday, a mosque was targeted on Tuesday, and protesters chanted "Stop the boats" on Wednesday. I know what you're thinking. The knife man must have been a Muslim migrant. Except he wasn't. He is a 17-year-old born to Rwandan parents in Cardiff in the UK. So neither a migrant nor a Muslim.
A 17-year-old boy from Banks has been charged with the murders of Bibi, Elsie Dot and Alice. 10 counts of attempted murder.
By taking a balanced, evidence-based approach, the UK government can work towards preventing future tragedies and building a more inclusive and harmonious society.
And possession of a bladed article following the tragic incident in Southport on Monday, the 29th of July.
He appeared in court today. Normally his name would not be released to public because he is underage, 17 years old, but the judge made an exception in this case. So we can tell you the name of the knife man, Alex Ruda Kubana. He stabbed and killed 3 children in a holiday club. And what was Britain's first reaction? To blame Muslims and migrants. This is blatant Islamophobia. It's the definition of prejudice, and social media contributed to it. Many users spread lies about the attacker's identity. They claimed that he was Muslim. They claimed that he arrived on a boat in 2023. No evidence, no confirmation from the police, just casual hate mongering. And shame on these protesters too. You don't become Islamophobic overnight. Chances are you always were. This attack was just an opportunity to act on it, to attack and vandalize mosques. So these riots were not a sudden outburst. They reveal a deeper problem. I have some numbers for you. Let's look at the period from October to February. The UK recorded more than 2,000 anti-Muslim incidents, 2,000. The year before, this number was 600. So this is a 235% rise in 1 year. Some of it was triggered by the Israel-Hamas war. But like I said, Islamophobia does not happen overnight. It's the product of years of fear-mongering, and British politicians must take some of the blame. I'll give you an example. Nigel Farage leads the Reform UK party. His platform is anti-immigration. Listen to his statement on Tuesday.
I have to say there are 1 or 2 questions. Was this guy being monitored by the security services? Some reports say he was, others less sure. The police say it's a non-terror incident. I just wonder whether the truth is being withheld from us. I don't know.
In addition to addressing immediate concerns, a comprehensive strategy is needed to prevent further violence. This includes investing in community programs that promote integration and understanding among different groups.
The answer to that, but I think it is a fair and legitimate question.
That's the definition of dog whistling. He wonders whether the police are lying about the attacker. Well, such wonderings lead to violence. They fuel hate and divide communities, and it's not just Britain. We've seen this elsewhere in the West. Economy not performing? Blame the migrants. Crime on the rise? Blame the Muslims. Inflation out of control? Divert attention by talking about immigration. This is Western politics in a nutshell. But nobody questions them. We are told that Western countries are secular by definition. Hate politics is only for Asia or Latin America. Well, think again. A diverse population has exposed these societies. Look at what happened in France. They wanted a black pop star to sing at the Olympics opening ceremony. Her name is Aya Nakamura. She was born in Mali, but she grew up in Paris, so she is a French singer. But some people couldn't stand it. Politicians and senators pushed back at the choice. They couldn't fathom the idea of a black French singer. This was always the reality of Western society. These latest instances have simply exposed them.
Across continents, one powerful news source.
Bringing you diverse perspectives on the issues that matter.
We go beyond the boundaries to give you that little extra about every sporting moment. So thank you for making First Post 5 million strong. We're counting on your support, and you can trust us to bring you the news unfiltered.
Efforts should focus on improving support systems for those at risk of falling into violence, including enhanced mental health resources and economic support for vulnerable populations.
And unvarnished.
Climate change is on our doorstep. It's time for a revolution to take root. And it starts with 1.4 billion Indians. It starts with one tree for humanity, one tree for Mother.
The more it's important for public discourse to remain balanced and not fall into the trap of scapegoating entire communities. Initiatives
You won't give us any, you won't give us fucking any, you're protecting it! No! He's killing the kids! You're dead! Muslims coming out, there's all fucking There's the fake news! Left-wing fake news! We're fucking taking pictures of that
by fostering a climate of respect and empathy, and by tackling the root causes of violence, the UK can work towards reducing crime while upholding its values of inclusivity and fairness.
Yeah.
Not getting a better view than this. You to live every day.
Go on the roof.
Ultimately, a nuanced approach that combines security measures with social support and integration efforts will be key to addressing these complex issues and ensuring the safety and cohesion of society.